The Synod of Synodality, the first part of which just concluded, has been characterized by the listening, the so-called conversion in the Spirit. We have to listen. Listening is a wonderful thing. We have to listen, and we have to listen to everyone, everyone, as they say, which I think is very good. We have to listen. We do not know very well what will come out of these commissions. There have already been several, and in Spanish we say that when you want something not to work right, create a commission. We do not know what will happen, but perhaps what has been concluded in the first part of the Synod, what has been agreed upon, is the condemnation of clericalism. Clericalism is something very bad, and it has to be condemned. And it seems to me, although there is no definition as such, that clericalism is any attack against the legitimate rights of faithful, from the right to be treated with respect, to the right to receive a formation, a Catholic doctrine. Clericalism, I believe, has two distinct manifestations. On the one hand, there is the classic clericalism, the grumpy despot priest who mistreats his parishioners, even those who collaborate with him in the parish, who does not have pastoral or economic counsels, or if he has them, it is as if they did not have them at all. That grumpy despot priest must still exist. I do not know them, but they must exist. Above all, but they are so much picked on, they must exist. Perhaps in some parts of the world they still exist and are frequent, but with few people who go to church, at least in my countries. If the priest is like that, he runs the risk of being alone and not even being able to pay the bills. On the other hand, there is another clericalism, and this one does in fact exist, which seems to me to be well qualified as hypocritical. The classical clericalism is that of the grumpy priest, while the hypocritical clericalism is that of the priest or a layman, who many times is nothing more than a frustrated priest who protests to be liberal. In Spain, we say progre. He is a progre, priest progre, as an abbreviation of progressive, as they like to be called. He is a progressive, priest a progre, priest, a liberal priest. This progre priest, this liberal priest, is a priest who gives communion to everyone, who blesses all kinds of unions, who ranks that woman read the gospel, preach, even stand next to him at the altar during the consecration with their albs, and perhaps even with stoles. Of course, he is a priest who does not confess because he considers that it is not necessary and that the only sins that exist today for him are the sins against what the ecologist says is intolerable. This liberal priest is a progressive priest, sometimes finds himself with a surprise, and it is that some cruelest parishioners arrives, or one who has no choice but to go to that parish because there is not another, or the next one is exactly the same. A parishioner arrives and tells him that he wants to receive communion in the mouth. At that moment, the progressive priest gets very nervous. I don't know, say that he starts to turn his head like in the famous movie of the girl of the exorcist, but almost at that time, without caring about the fact that the faithful is in the communion line. At that moment, everything he carries, all the anger he carries, comes out from inside him. and he does not hesitate to offend that parishioner verbally or at least with gestures, and to force him, if he wants to receive communion in his hand. And if that parishioner is an act of innocence and courage, daring, has the nerve to go to the sacristy or to talk to him alone and tells him that he is celebrating Mass in a shirt or sweater and something equivalent to a multicolored stole, and that he would like him to celebrate Mass with dignity, dressed in his alb and cassock. At that moment, the progress priest unlashes and verbally abuses him. If they are alone, I don't think they have reached the point of physical abuse, but verbal abuse eyes. Yes, to the parishioner who says that, but if the parishioner tells him that he does not agree with this or with that, then he has said in the homily because it goes against what the church teaches, then his anger knows no bounds. He is a chauvinist, and he has reproached the fact that women are de facto celebrating next to him, or that they have read the gospel or have given the homily while he was in front of him, therefore without any need. He is a chauvinist, even if he is a woman, even if it is a woman who is saying it. She is a chauvinist or stiff. You are stiff. There is no greater insult that can be said to the one in the Catholic Church today. You are stiff. You are stiff. But he is not going to quote Karl Rahner or Hans Kuhn or texts of the Second Vatican Council. No, because surely he has never read them in his life. He is simply going to tell him that he has no place in the church, because this is the church for everyone, the church for everyone except for those who want to receive communion in the mouth. Want a liturgy celebrated with dignity, want the priest to be dressed as the priest should be dressed, and they have the audacity to ask that the homilies have the content faithful to the doctrine, still the official doctrine of the church. In the church there is room for everyone. Thank goodness that they did not think of saying, using these ends of these new formulas that the LGBT communities want to implement, like that Spanish ministered in the church. There is room for everyone. I think it is very good. Besides, it has always been like that. Everywhere, everyone fits. If there was no room for everyone, let us see how I could fit in, because we are all sinners, and of course, I am one too. In the church, there is room for everyone, but as far as we can see, for that kind of hypocritical clericalism, that is not a word of that. It is so, but that behaves in an exclusively way that violates the legitimate rights of its faithful. To be treated with respect, to go to Catholic liturgy and to receive a Catholic formation, for that hypocritical clericalism, everyone fits except those who want to be Catholic. Either everyone applies to everyone. In the end, this is going to be a hypocritical phrase that hides, at least on the part of many as they apply it, that in the Catholic Church there is room for everyone except for those who want to be Catholics. It would be frightening and terrible if this were to happen, among other things, because when the priest tells the lady or man who wants to receive communion in his mouth to lift and insult him with gestures or words And in the next homily, he lashes out against the one who has dared to say that this thing he has said is not faithful to the doctrine. Among other things, the few who are left will live. We all fit in the church, but it is different matter if we all have the right to receive communion. For that we must be in the grace of God, but we all fit in the church. But as far as this hypocritical clericalism is concerned, the only ones who do not fit in the church are those who want to be Catholics. See you next week, God willing.